Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. Welcome back, my lovely leaders. Welcome to the very first session of the Promotion Playbook. If you've been following me for a while, you know we've had a couple of series recently here on live streaming. Whether you're joining me on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, welcome. We've been talking about burnout-proof leadership. We've talked about unshakable confidence. And all sorts of things have come up in those two. But everything I teach builds on one core truth. You don't just deserve to lead, you're ready to lead. And that's why today we're talking about promotion. This is the first series in the Promotion Playbook, and I'm so thrilled that you're here listening to me. If you are here, please pop in the chat, give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me, because sometimes the tech plays havoc. So I'd love to know if you are here, if you can hear me. I'd actually love to know where you're dialing in from and where you're watching. I think one of the most glorious things about the modern age is that I get to talk to women in tech. That's what I do all over the world. So I'd love to know, can you hear me, and where are you chiming in from? Let me just take a moment to introduce myself, even in case you're new around here. I'm Toni Collis. I'm an executive coach for women in tech. I'm a former tech executive myself, board member, and I'm on a mission to change the tech industry by changing the face of tech leadership. That means putting more women just like you into leadership positions that are actually going to build better companies and better technology for the human race. So today I want to talk about why you don't just deserve to lead, that you're ready to lead, but bringing that all together and take the next step, because this is about turning your results into recognition and recognition into advancement. If you're here, it's probably because you want to get promoted. It's Promotion Playbook Day. So if you've ever had that feeling of, I'm doing everything right, but still not getting promoted, then you are absolutely in the right place. Go ahead and drop a yes in the comments if that's you. If you are like, why am I not getting promoted? I swear I'm doing everything right. Yes in the comments if that has just hit a nerve, because I can tell you right now, you're not alone, but you are in the right place. That's what this series, the Promotion Playbook, is going to be unpacking for you week by week. Here's what I see all the time with my clients, and maybe this sounds familiar to you. You're the one everyone relies on. You pick up the dropped balls, right? You solve problems before they become fires. Maybe you see the fire approaching or the train crash that's about to happen right in front of you. You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nobody else does. You're the safe pair of hands, the go-to person for the messy projects that no one else wants to touch. That was me. I had a reputation for turning around failing teams, but I was also told I wasn't technical enough to get promoted. What? You get glowing feedback. You're told you're amazing. And then when promotion season rolls around, nothing happens. No one's questioning your ability. They just don't see you as the next level leadership material. Maybe you've brought it up with your boss and they say, yeah, we'll get to that. And you're left thinking, what else can I possibly do? I've had this season planned for a while, right? This was the topic I want to do because I know many of you, tail end of the year, there are conversations being had, right, about what's coming in 2026. But it's actually just an hour ago. I was having a conversation with a new client of mine, let's call her Katie, who is in this exact space right now. That's why she's come to work with me. She's a brilliant global post-sales leader, the person everyone in the company goes to when something is broken. Her manager literally told her, you're indispensable. I don't know what we do without you. Her company is in the middle of an acquisition. She's one of 3 people who's been given a retention bonus. One of 3 out of, I think 3,000. Like, what? She is indispensable. They've decided that. They've given her a retention bonus. Sounds great, right? Except she's been passed over promotion for 3 years. She was hired telling her, give us 3 months and we'll make you a VP, and it's never happened. And as we worked out, that's probably cost her near to 600,000-700,000 in compensation, that lack of promotion. That's ridiculous, right? When you look at it like that, like, what is going on? Somebody has told me there are technical issues on their end. I would love it if anybody else is having problems. If you can just refresh the page, that might work for you, Christy. Please refresh. I'm really hoping it's not on my end. We will find out. I don't want to restart, but if we need to restart, I'll restart. So Christy, if you can't resolve that, if other people could chime in and let me know they can hear me, I'd really, really appreciate it. But if the organization you're in can't imagine functioning without you in your current role, here's the problem. They won't move you up because they see somebody who's indispensable and they would have a panic to replace you. There are actually a couple of things you need to do, which we're going to get to later. But one of the things I think most of us don't realize is to get promoted upwards, you need to make sure you've backfilled yourself. But that comes with like a fear, which is, well, if I've got somebody who can do my job, won't they just get rid of me? You got to have all the pieces in place. If a company sees you doing great things at your level, they don't see you as next level. The reasons why you don't get promoted in these situations can seem really complex, but ultimately it's one thing. They don't see you up there. They see you as amazing at this level. Katie actually said to me this morning, I thought my qualifications spoke for themselves. She's been waiting 3 years. She now knows that isn't true. This is the performance trap. And it's where too many of us as women, high-performing women, going all out, working harder and harder and harder, we just get stuck. So let's just break this down for a second. The performance trap happens when our excellence means we become invisible. We've trained everyone around us to see us as essential, but we're not elevatable. We've built a reputation for being reliable, but not strategic. We're trusted, but not tapped. We've done a good job at proving ourselves, but no one stopped to ask, what could you do at the next level? Because you're not showing them. You might be asking for the next level, but you're not showing them. So one of the other things that happens in this situation is you might be asking and the goalposts are constantly moving. And that's just exhausting, right? You're asking like, hey, if I do these things, these KPIs, these metrics, that's one of the first things I say to people who are trying to get promoted. Like, let's get a written down agreement with your boss. Like, what does it take to get to the next level? And then half the time, those goalposts move. Like they weren't good goalposts in the first place. Potentially because it's a toxic organization, sometimes because your boss doesn't really know. But it might actually be they've put these things in place. Maybe you're a manager. Maybe you've done this yourself. Somebody said to you, I want a promotion. You're thinking you're not promotable material. And so you give them some goals and they hit them, but you're like, but you're still not promotable. So you give them some other stuff, right? If that's happened to you, it could be toxic, but it could also be that there's something else going on that they don't know how to articulate. There is a myth here. Hard work means success. Means that if you just keep plowing on, if you just sacrifice more, if you just are available 24/7, somebody will notice. Here's the thing, it gets you so far, but it stops. Mid-senior level, it depends on the organization where it hits. I was actually speaking to somebody just last week who is an IC and she's already got there. But sometimes it's a VP level before like working harder has tripped you up. I think it really depends on the organization and how you are working harder and longer. At that point, though, promotions aren't rewards for effort. They're bets on future impact. You get rewarded at the senior level because they've decided to bet on you. If we don't promote this person, we'll lose them. If we promote this person, we're going to get great things. Far too often, I see that the fear of losing someone is what's playing against you, because you're not seen potentially as somebody who's going to exit stage left. Well, instead, that great IC leader that you trained to become a leader a few years ago gets promoted because they're seen as high potential and at great risk of leaving. You're seen as sure and steady. Does that one ring true? Put me a sad thumbs up, or maybe a half thumbs up in the chat if that one's you. There's so many different things that are coming in here, and I kind of want to paint a picture of all the things that might be going on, because then we got to diagnose it, which is what we're going to be getting to. The people making the bets, the people going, who do we bet on? They're not always in the room seeing your day-to-day effort. In fact, I would argue they're not. Your boss might be in the room with the people making that decision, but they've got to be able to articulate on your behalf. And not all bosses are good at that. And if you're the steady pair of hands, they're not thinking about you. The irony of being the person who is the old reliable, meaning that when your boss is going through the team and saying, oh yeah, so-and-so does this, so-and-so does this, you're just there. They can't imagine not having you, but they also don't think of you as promotable because you just get stuff done. You don't make a fuss. You don't constantly say, hey, what's going on with this situation? You're just somebody they can rely on. The colleague who skipped over you, they made sure that their positioning lined up with what the decision makers wanted to see. Let me just repeat that. The colleague who went over, leapfrogged you, they looked at their positioning and they made sure they were positioned to make sure the decision makers saw what they needed to see. Have you ever sat down and consciously thought through decision maker A, what do they need to see? Decision maker B, what do they need to see? Rather than just talking to your boss about goals. Have you ever done that? Because it's really worth doing. Now, before anyone starts thinking, oh, great, so I've been doing it all wrong. Let's just pause for a second. This is not about blame. This isn't a you problem. This is a system problem. There's a communication gap here that no one teaches us to bridge. And as a woman in a male-dominated field, I can tell you, if you were a man, you were more likely to be gently, quietly taken to one side and be like, here's what you need to do. We're less likely to get that. We know women don't get that informal advice in a male-dominated field. By the way, it works the reverse too. If you're the one only, you're just less likely to get it. If a man was working in a female-dominated field, they're also less likely to get it. I can't tell you how many women I've heard have that same feedback. You're doing a fantastic job. We couldn't do this without you. And it's thought that that's a compliment, but it's actually a career limiter. But the good news is you absolutely can fix this. So rather than getting upset, let's do something about it, right? Let's take agency back out of this situation. Because what we're talking about today isn't about working harder. It's about learning to lead differently. It's not a talent issue. It's a positioning issue. You are already kick-ass awesome. You probably know that. That's probably why you're going for promotions. Probably why you're listening to me. But the positioning, that's a skill you can master. It's not rocket science, but we do need to slow down to do it. Slow down to speed up is one of my mantras. So why exactly does hard work not translate into promotion? What's really being measured when decisions get made behind closed doors? Because while you might think you've been evaluated on how much you deliver, what they're really looking for is how much leadership signal you're sending. And when I say leadership signal, I mean whatever's next. If you're a manager, I'm talking senior manager director signals. If you are a VP, I'm talking C-level signals. The signals change and evolve. You've got to diagnose the signals for the level above you, and nobody's going to tell you that. So we're going to break this down into what I call the promotion gaps. There's 3 gaps: the strategic gap, the visibility gap, and the influence gap. These gaps apply at every single level, but how they manifest changes based on the level. So you'll figure it out down here. You probably figured it out because you've probably been promoted once before, at least. You figure it out, and then next time, the strategic gap, the visibility gap, and the influence gap, they are going to be different at the next level. But you can figure it out, right? Because once you see where you're leaking opportunity, you never have to look at this in the same way again, because you're always going to be like, where are my gaps? What am I doing? So I'd love to hear in the chat from you. Drop a few words in there. What's the part of your role that takes up the most energy but feels the least recognized? Because I'm going to come back to this, because chances are that's where your trap is. What's the part of your role that takes up the most energy but feels the least recognized? This is such an important question because this is part of your diagnosis, your personal diagnosis, right? This is what I do in my one-on-one coaching. We sit down and we do some diagnosis. Every one of you has your own unique journey. I can give you tools that work on an average level, and I'm going to offer you a toolkit at the end of today that you can download. But you need to understand what that means for you as an individual in your organization, your skill set, your particular role. You are an individual, but we can have a framework to help you diagnose. And the first part of that is, what's the part of your role that takes up the most energy but feels the least recognized? Okay, let's talk about why hard work, energy, doesn't always translate into promotion. When I say that out loud, I almost hear a collective like, wait, what? We have been taught, society tells us, graft, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. Our whole careers, effort equals reward. Put your head down, deliver, prove yourself, success will follow. Here's the thing. Once you reach senior levels, the metrics change. You stop being evaluated on what you deliver and start being evaluated on how you think, how you influence, how you communicate. That's where I see so many brilliant women get stuck, not because they're underperforming, but because they're excelling at the wrong metric. So let's break down into something practical here. I want you to think about what you're doing that's not moving you up, because you might be doing everything right for this level, but it's not for what's up there. So let's talk about those 3 gaps. The first one, the strategic gap. This is what happens when you're solving problems but not defining them. When you're so deep in the weeds that you can't step back and show the bigger picture. Let me tell you about a client. Let's call her Maya. I like to change names. I think that's only fair. She's incredible. She's organized. She's fast. She's one of those old reliables. But in every meeting, she came to me saying this. Every meeting, she'd give her update. And she said to me, like, this is how I do it. I'm like, okay. She would say things like, we deployed this. We fixed that. We're 80% through testing. Her peers, I got her to sit down and like think through what her peers were saying, the ones that were leapfrogging her. They'd say things like, we're ahead of schedule on a Reese that supports 3 million in ARR. She's an engineer. Like, why does she care about ARR? Because she does. Because you have to. She has to have that strategic lens. This is the strategic gap. Maya has been communicating progress. Her peers that are leapfrogging her communicating strategy. Now, the strategy shifts based on the level you're at. Like what your focus is depends on your level, but it's giving that big business acumen, right? So here's a question for you. What's the business impact of what you do? What's the business impact of what you're saying? What's the business impact of your daily updates, your weekly updates? Every update you give to your boss should be in business language. You work in a business. Even in nonprofits, by the way, a few clients work in nonprofits, and they're like, but we're not about the dollars. I'm like, you really are about the dollars. Nonprofits care so much about the bottom line because they have to demonstrate to people giving donations that every penny's been spent wisely. So yes, dollars really do matter. I worked in the academic industry for a very long time, worked in universities. Gosh, it really, really matters. It matters in a different way. It's not about profit. It's about spend. It's about delivering quickly and efficiently, but it's still there. So you got to understand in your current role, what is the business context? Every update needs to be with that lens. And you need to be looking at the people above you. What's the business context they give? And if you can start emulating that, that shows you're more promotable because you're looking beyond your current lens. Your current lens will keep you where you are. It's going to help, but you need the business acumen for the lens above. Then you're instantly sound more senior. Okay. Gap number 2, visibility. This is what happens when you're doing phenomenal work, but nobody knows, because visibility isn't about bragging. It's about creating clarity. It's saying, here's the impact of my work and why it matters to the business. I worked with another client. I've been working with her for 18 months. Let's call her Laura. I've probably called her something else. I talk about her a lot. I'm so proud of her. She's been promoted twice in 18 months. And 18 months ago, she came to me on a pip, in a panic, on a pip, and saying, what do I do? I'm going to lose my job. Nobody knows me. My boss is toxic. What do I do? What do I do? She came to me thinking like, okay, I'm job hunting. Actually, what happened is a couple of things very quickly. We turned around her reputation as part of the work of prepping her for interview technique, because it was all about business acumen, right? We turned that around. She actually also, her boss got moved up. So she got a new boss and that hugely helped. Her boss was part of the situation. I'll just be honest about that. And one of the things that was said by her new boss, who knew her very well, that was just a sideways move in for her new boss, is, you're great, but you never speak up. The CEO also gave her this feedback. It wasn't that she wasn't performing. It was that she was invisible. Nobody heard. She's in product. Nobody would hear about product. The executive team just ignored product. The CEO started to call this out. She had built her visibility on just doing. But what we needed to do was build her visibility in quarterly wins to stakeholders, sharing data-backed outcomes to executives in a format that they could understand, getting the investors to understand the importance of product and getting involved more, which allowed her to have more influence on R&D. As of I think as of October 1st, she now runs R&D as well. I mean, this woman is kick-ass awesome, right? Most important of all, she learned how to speak up. She's not somebody who wants to brag. She's not somebody who wants to speak up a lot, but she is speaking up in meetings on subjects beyond her immediate area of expertise, because ultimately, to get promoted, you have to show you are capable of providing input in areas beyond your immediate area of current responsibility. Within 6 months, she got promoted. She went off the pip and got promoted. She's been promoted twice since. So this is it. This is what I want for you. I want you to write this one down. If you don't tell the story of your work, someone else will, and they'll tell it differently. You have to have a voice. You have to be visible, however uncomfortable that is. And you have to be visible to the right level. And again, this is one of those things. Finding that next level up changes every step of the way. You have to be visible to the people who have the influence above you. Okay, the third gap is influence. This is the trickiest one because it's invisible. It's when you've built trust downward. Your team loves you, your peers rely on you, but you haven't built advocacy upwards. So visibility helps with this, but influence is an added piece. When promotion conversations happen, no one in the room is saying your name, not because you're not valued, but because you haven't made your impact easy to talk about. Influence is the currency of leadership. It's not about who you know, it's about who knows what you deliver. So here's a quick question for you. Who in your organization could advocate for you tomorrow or later today? And would they know exactly what to say about your impact? If there's a room of 10 people and they're going to promote 2 out of the 50 people they're considering, who of those 10 people would advocate for you? And would they be able to fight your corner against the 50 others? Are they able to say, you, that lady right there, she's kick-ass awesome. She does this, this, and this. And would that stand up against your peers? Do they know how to speak about your value add? If the answer is, I'm not sure, that's your next opportunity. I think so many of us have worked on our communication, our visibility, our business acumen. Indeed, senior executives come to me. There's only one level left of really where they want to go. They don't want to be a CEO. They've got like one C-level role that they want to get before they wrap up their careers. And they just seem like it's just beyond their reach. What's missing? It's influence. Influence is the most important gap to conquer, the hardest to properly achieve, particularly when you're the only of something in the room, only one, the only woman in the room, only woman of color in the room. Like whatever the only is, there is an unconscious bias against you that means influence is just a little harder to grasp, but it is possible and we can get you there. Now, don't panic if you're thinking, gosh, those gaps, there's me. I'm all of those. Every single client I've coached who's landed their next big role started right here, seeing where they were unintentionally holding themselves back. Here's the beautiful thing. These aren't fixed traits. They're skill gaps. And you're kick-ass awesome. I keep saying that. You are, right? If you're a woman in tech, you by definition are excelling, because you can't be a woman in tech without being better than the men around you, because it just is true. I hate to say it, but like, especially right now, we are having to prove ourselves so much more than our male peers on average. You are already amazing. So you're already technically incredibly talented. These are skills you can learn and you can start closing them today. So let's talk about how to shift from overperforming to leading differently, and why your next promotion starts not with your to-do list, but with your mindset, because I think this is the bit that really underpins the rest of the work. You've got those 3 gaps. So let's talk about what's then keeping them alive. Because even once you know there's a deeper pattern underneath, you're quietly sabotaging yourself, maybe, we fall into a proving loop. The proving loop is what happens when you think the way to get ahead is to keep showing how capable, helpful, and reliable you are. It's that instinct that says, if I just keep delivering, if I just do this one extra thing, they'll finally see it. And that's the position that Katie was in, that I told you about right at the beginning when she first came to me. Surely they'll notice me. Same thing to realizing, like, She had to realize that things were never going to change. She's had 3 years of waiting for something she was told was going to take 3 months. And here's the truth that no one told her, no one tells you. You don't get promoted for doing more. You get promoted for thinking higher. And that means letting go of proving and stepping into leading. Stop trying to prove that you're awesome. Nobody's paying attention. Instead, lead differently. Let's look at what that actually shifting away from proving looks like and what it looks like day to day. So if you are saying yes when you should be delegating, if you're over preparing for every meeting because you're afraid to be caught out or caught off guard or asked a tricky question, if you're taking excessive pride in being the one who always fixes it, in fact, we shouldn't really be taking pride in being the one that fixes it, even if it's just quietly inside, oh, look at me. Because what it's doing is saying, I will always be the fixer. It means you're always going to stay exhausted. It means feeling guilty when you're not doing and hustling, or not answering emails 11 o'clock at night. If you're constantly trying to prove your value, you're in proving mode. You're in the proving loop. You're signaling you don't believe that you are there yet. The more you focus on proving, the more people see you as the person who keeps everything running, not the person who leads the next thing. One client told me, I don't understand this, Toni. Tell me. They are telling me I'm great, but they keep giving me more work. And I said to her, because you've trained them to see you as the fixer, not the future. That's what proving loop does to you. It reinforces the wrong identity. You're the fixer. You're the all reliable. Keep coming back to me. Don't promote me. They can't imagine a world without you at your current level. If that one resonates, I'd love to hear from you. Just drop me a message in the chat here. Just say yes. I think that's so common. They see you as the reliable one. They don't see you as the promotable one. They cannot imagine you not being in your current role. Okay, so what does it look like to lead through this instead? As you're all leaders, probably, you know that leadership is about being intentional with your time, your voice, your focus, and that applies to your career. It's not just about being intentional with your time, your voice, and your focus for your job. It's about that for your career. It's knowing when to step in and when to step back. It's speaking about outcomes, not activities. It's knowing when to say no, and it's showing confidence in uncertainty, even if you don't have all the answers. It's creating space for others to contribute so you can focus higher. Because here's the thing, leaders don't get rewarded for being the busiest person in the room. They get rewarded for creating clarity when everyone else is spinning. So I want you to do a little reflection with me. Whether you're here live or catching the replay, ask yourself this. What would change if you started showing up? I would say slowing. What would change if you started showing up as the version of you who already got that promotion? What would you stop over explaining? What would you delegate? What would you say no to because it doesn't actually move the business forward? When you start behaving like that version of yourself, something different happens. People stop responding as if you're not there, and they start responding as if you're ready in the next role. When you shift your updates from tactical to strategic, you will hear people tell you, you sound like an executive now, right? I've seen this so many times. Here's what I want you to take away from this. You can't think your way into confidence. You can't act your way into it. You can't think your way into promotion. You can't act your way into it. What you need to do is start behaving like you've already got the job, right? That's when the opportunities start chasing you. In a second, I'm going to introduce you to a toolkit that's going to help you start doing exactly that, right? This is where I want you to go from thinking, this all makes sense, but what do I do now? Let's break this down. And we're going to be moving, and we're running out of time. I'm actually already at time. We're going to be like building on this. I'm going to give you high level today. And then over the next couple of weeks, we're going to take each piece and break them down, okay? So I want you to take a breath and hear this. There's nothing wrong with you. You've just been playing a game that no one taught you the rules for. And the truth is, hard work is not going to get you there. Changing your leadership is. Changing your leadership is going to advance you, and we need to teach you how to position yourself in the right way and build that influence. So let's talk about the Promotion Playbook. This is the toolkit that I use with my clients. I've actually only just written it down. I've been using it for years, and I was like, wait, hold on. I do the same thing with everybody. So it's my promotion playbook. The goal here is to take those 3 gaps I talked about earlier and start fixing them. So we're going to take one at a time. Like, what do we need to do here? There are six things that we need to work on. Your strategic value, learning to think and communicate like the next level. We're going to talk about that one in particular next week. I think we might do number 2 next week as well, which is visibility, your visibility engine, how to be seen and remembered for impact, not effort. So visibility isn't just effort, it's impact. And a lot of us focus on effort, not impact. If you've ever applied for a job and thought, I don't know what impact I had in my previous role, you have a visibility problem, right? And then the third one is executive presence, how to sound credible, calm, confident. I love executive presence work because I think it's for so many of us as a blocker, and it kind of is a bit of a glue for all the other things. As we talked about last week, actually executive presence can come across in so many ways. A low confidence means no executive presence. Poor communication comes across as no executive presence. They're all everything. Whenever somebody says to you, you need to work on your executive presence, there's like a dozen things it could mean. So executive presence is one of the key things here as well. Number 4 is your sponsorship strategy, building advocates who champion you when you're not in the room. Number 5 is the promotion readiness system, knowing what the business actually values in promotion decisions and making a business case for it. I'm just going to do this little side note here. Years ago now, I had a head of engineering. She was a senior director of engineering working with me. She reported into the VP of engineering, who reported into the CEO. So the VP of engineering was very much a technical leader, no people skills. My client was brought in to be a bridge between technical and people. She did all the people leadership. She quadrupled the team in 6 months. That's huge, right? And she was like, I'm a better leader than my boss. I should be the VP. And I was like, okay, your boss isn't going anywhere. He's best mates with the CEO. What are you going to do about it? How do we build this? We had to build the business case for her boss to become CTO so she could get the VPE position. That's what we did. 3 months after we started working together, she got the VPE position. Today, she is an awesome coach. But you can do these things. You can absolutely do these things, but you have to build the business case. So step 5 is the promotion readiness system. What is the business actually going to value in the promotion around you? And then the 6th piece is the mindset. Shifting from proving to owning, shifting from realizing that you're worth it, shifting from, is this me or is it them? Understanding where it's within your control, what agency you have, and where maybe it's just a little bit toxic. Mindset is everything. You've got to come at this with, it's not about me, but what's really going on here. We have so much internal talk that can really derail us. It can stop us advocating for ourselves, but it can also hide toxicity from us. When we put together these 6 pillars, strategy, visibility, executive presence, sponsorship, business case for promotion, and your mindset, you're going to deal with all those gaps, right? You're going to shape yourself into the person that is just the obvious candidate for this next role. I'd love to know if any of those things you've already been working on, your strategic value, your visibility, your executive presence, your sponsorship strategy, your promotion readiness from the business case, or your mindset. Are any of those things you've looked at so far? If you are, okay, this is working, this is what I needed to hear, drop me the word playbook and I'll send you the promotion playbook guide. It's completely free. The goal is you can use it to identify your promotion gaps, map it to the 6 pillars, and create an action plan, right? It's what we're going to be working through over the next couple of weeks. But if you want to get your hands on it now, so you've got it and you can come with questions, you can always put questions in the comments and I will deal with them. That's my goal here, is to actually help you where you are rather than just talking to the void. I would love to do that. So drop me the word playbook and I'll get that over to you. I just want you to know you deserve this. So let's figure out how to make sure you're shifting your communication. When you speak, people don't just hear updates, they hear leadership. They see you as visible. They see you as the next best person for that role. And I really want you to know it's time for you to be seen. It really is. It's time for you to be seen. You deserve to get that promotion. If you're here, I know you're frustrated, okay? So know that we're going to be working on this and we're going to solve this. I am determined to get as many of you promoted in the next promotion cycle as possible. By the way, if you're watching on replay, still DM me on LinkedIn the Web Playbook anytime, and I will still get that over to you as soon as I can. Next week is session 2 of this series, and we're going to look at the strategic value you bring, how to think and sound like you're that next level. It's that first pillar. We're going to turn it into practical, real-world things that you can start doing in how you speak, how you frame your updates, how you start sounding like you're the leader you already are. And we're just going to take that to the next level. And if we have time, we will get onto the second pillar as well. So before you go, drop one word in the chat. Are you ready? Are you motivated? Are you clear on action? Or are you confused? I'd love to hear in the chat for this live, or if you're watching replay in the chat, I'd love to know, what are you feeling? I want to celebrate with you, but I also want to know whether or not you're just like, okay, this sounds great, but I'm confused. You have earned your promotion. It's now time to make sure you're seen as ready for it. Take care. Lead well this week. Do the work only you can do. And I